Yeah,
barely
look, there
awake.
it is.
Yeah, barely awake.
Yeah, I'm wide ass awake.
Oh, well, yeah, sure. I mean, it's like, working out, that's what it does. It wakes you up and it makes the pain go away.
And now I had my pre-workout Monster energy drink because, like
Oh,
you do,
okay.
and then
Right.
I have my post, and then I smoke my salad post-workout.
Oh, no. Well, at least you don't have to worry about parasites there.
Good morning, everyone. It is it's July 27th,
Right. Oh, it's almost August.
2026.
Yeah.
I was gonna put us in June. Oh my god, it is almost
Well, it's been a
August.
bit since we've streamed, so we have to catch up.
Oh yeah, we totally have to do that. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what all's changed since the last time I got in here.
Right. Well, I think we can try to remember because even I'm like, what did we do? Oh, the last time, I think the last time we were in here, we were closing out Ego Raven. I don't remember.
Oh, maybe so.
I
Hey,
could have
hold on.
sworn. I could have sworn we did a show after that, but
I don't even. Hi, Lou. Good morning.
oh, hey, Lou. Yeah, good morning.
I don't remember. Did we?
Right.
I think we did one. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. You ready for an intro?
Absolutely not. But hit it.
Valar Morghulis. Yes, all men must die. But we are not men.
Yeah, neither are you. Or maybe you are. I don't know.
I don't know. No kink shaming here.
No.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, it's been a while. So it's like we have to kind of like get used to getting back on track. So good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Ragin to the Vlogs show. A show where we do this whenever we feel like it.
I need my Zolofts real quick.
Oh, okay, right.
Can't be having the anxieties on the air.
Oh no, don't do that. No anxieties on the air. We save them for in private, like civilized people.
I'm just here to be entertaining these days, Daphne. I swear.
Well, hey. Yeah, so welcome to the show. And yes, I see you, our beautiful eyeball people watching from regions beyond. If you are joining us from Facebook, please, for the love of God, come on over to YouTube. Join the sexy people in the chat. Keep them company. I've been having a heck of a problem with Facebook ever since I got my my little warning lifted, my little violation lifted from Facebook. And I have been having problems streaming to it ever since. So I guess, there goes that, but I'm going to keep trying. For some reason, I couldn't stream to my regular page. So I'm trying to stream to my business page or whatever that is. And it's still kind of wonky, so we might not be able to see your comments if you're commenting on Facebook. So please, yes, come on over to YouTube if you want us to actually see your comments. And while you're here, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you'll get notified whenever any of our shows go live. So I guess we might as well just go into the actual intro, which is hello, everyone. My name is Daphne Lage, and I'm a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist, self-publishing fantasy comics since 1992. I'll let you do the math. I am known for my furry fantasy adventure tall tales.
Oh, fuck. I'll explain what I was doing in a minute.
Okay. And I'm also known for my medieval fantasy drama, Eager Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, which you can read on Webtoon. I have a new Webtoon card in there. Yes, you can read on Webtoon with new episodes updating August 4th. So, and then like updates will occur every Tuesday on Webtoon for Eager Raven. And joined with my fabulous co-host,
Ta-da!
Nita.
Yeah, I'm Nita. I'm Daphne's cheerleader.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I am whooped, dude. I am
Right.
whooped. No, I got
Right.
sidetracked because I was wondering if now that it's doing the stream into Facebook, since they finally lifted my restrictions, I was wondering if I could stream to mine. But because you're streaming to multiple platforms, I have to get the permissions or whatever.
Right. Well, I mean, because I don't have the account, because right now I'm streaming to 3, and it's like in order to be able to stream to more, I have to.
Okay.
I have to upgrade, and I'm not upgrading.
No.
I think the only way that you can stream to your own channel is if you came in as a guest, and then it allows you to stream to your own channel.
Right.
But then you wouldn't have any control of the back room. So, so I don't know. I guess, who knows? Maybe because I'm having so much trouble with my Facebook, probably next time we'll add your Facebook and like see which one works better.
I don't know if mine will work at all, to be honest. It would just
right.
I was trying to test it because I swear to God, for 3 years I tried to stream to fucking Facebook and it would never let me. Not live.
Right,
it would put the streams on there and then allow me to make it look like about an hour after.
Yeah, I think that's what it's still doing to mine as well.
Because you know what happens? It doesn't get the views that it would get while it's live. So, and definitely not the engagement. So it's kind of pointless.
Actually, let me see if it is live. Because now that you mention it, I don't expect it to be. Oh, I mean, according to this, it's saying that it's live.
No, you're live. What the fuck, Streamyard? Jeez.
Yeah. I think that if I don't know. Like I said,
maybe they finally kissed and made up because they never wanted to work together.
I doubt it because I don't think I'll be able to see people's comments if they post on Facebook.
That sucks.
I just have a feeling that I won't be able to Facebook comments, but yeah. So what else has been going on with you? I mean, it's like I said, it's been a couple of weeks. I mean, the idea was to stream last week, but what happened was that I was having a patch on the floor of my office fixed because like all the concrete, lifted. Right. So it was just like impossible. I couldn't even work in the office, even though it's not like they were doing the entire floor. They were just doing a corner.
You could just say you just didn't want to see me.
No. Oh, yeah. Because that's not true. Mm-hmm. Although it is funny how you're neurotic about that when you take forever to answer my texts.
I did that on purpose. I was being passive aggressive for fuck's sake.
Okay, right.
No, not really. No, I promise. I really wasn't. I really didn't get the notification. Like I got the notification mixed in the countless numbers, but I never got the ding to where I look at my phone and it would say Daphne up at the top.
Right.
Or if I didn't catch it. Because
I haven't been getting
I had like 99, but I wasn't about to check 99 fucking messages from randos.
Right.
Although I did get some interesting dick pics, and it's been a while since I've gotten some of those. Yeah. Yes. These are definitely share worthy. His mom will be receiving them in her messages this morning.
Definitely not share worthy. Do not share the dick pics.
I totally am giving them back. I'm giving them to his mama. Oh, and his baby's mama, who's moved on, but I still think she might find it funny.
She might, for old time's sake. Oh my goodness, but yeah, it's mostly just like on my end, it was just mostly like just construction here and there, and
No, we've been busy as fuck too. That's why I hadn't bothered to message you and try to guilt trip you, because normally I'd be sending you like sad love ballads.
Oh, right. Well, that's true. Yeah, I haven't gotten those in a while.
It's been a minute, but it's not. I haven't forgotten about you, Daphne.
Right.
It's been crazy. It's like we had the blowout. We had a bunch of shit with cats. I currently have a 7th cat in the house. Long story. I'll explain later. No, we're not keeping it. We're not keeping it.
Okay.
This is an emergency situation that I don't feel like getting into right now.
Right. Okay.
My garden stuff came in, so I've got to build my beds again.
Oh, good.
And I want to get those. It's so fucking hot here. I can only work. I have to get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning to go in the yard, or almost in the middle of the fucking night.
Right, yeah.
And so much shit needs to be assembled and have dirt and everything hauled in, because I need to get the shit planted. Anything I want for fall.
Right, yeah.
So. Yeah, there's that.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like, we've all been busy. It's like, I've been, getting everything together to start fulfilling Eagle Raven Volume 3, but I'm just waiting to get my Kickstarter money so I could finally order the main books, because those are a little bit on the expensive side, so I really needed to wait. But everything else I've been getting in, so so hopefully in another 2 weeks I'll get the trade paperbacks back, and hopefully by the end of August I'll have everything out so I can get on to the next issue 13. I think is the next campaign. I just haven't decided whether I want to run it. I know, right? I mean, it's like I really can't get over,
you've grown so much, Daphne. I remember when you was just a little baby Daphne with Eagle Raven issue 1,
right? And now it's like, look at all these issues, and now it's like I'm finishing up. I'm finishing up issue 13. I've just been really dragging my ass to, what it is. I think because I have this thing where the closer I get to the ending of an issue, it's supposed to start raining today and rain for the next 3 days. So, and the humidity just makes it impossible to do anything proper with my hair. Just look like a mad scientist because of the hot humidity. So it's like, not cute. It's hard to look cute in this weather.
Yeah, it's ridiculously hard to look cute.
Yeah.
I'm not even with my big old girls. I'm not even bothering with a real bra anymore. Even going to the gym.
Make sure you have your.
Yes, ma'am. It has been rough. It is fucking stupid down here.
Right.
And then did you see the other day? It was 100 and it was 115. Not feels like 115, whatever the fuck that means.
Right.
It feels like hell on earth. Okay, right?
Right.
And it rained. But here's the thing: the rain was not cold.
Right. It was
it
hot
was the
rain.
hottest, nastiest fucking rain.
It was not refreshing.
Listen now, just get this over with.
Right, yeah. And it's and it got so bad we actually got tornado warnings here. Or
I saw that.
Island. Yeah, it was
Jersey did too.
Yeah, a little it's a little further. What is it? Where's Suffolk? I don't even know where Suffolk is, but that tells you how much we care about any place outside of New York City. Suffolk? Who the fuck goes there?
What the fuck is that?
So what it is I have this habit, this reoccurring habit, that the closer I get to finishing an issue, it's kind of the slower I get. And what's funny is that it's not just fussing, futzing around, because Clip Studio Paint tracks how long it takes for me to do pages. And actual work, and it's even my time working on actual pages has increased. And I don't know, and I think it's just the anxiety of finishing an issue, right? But now I'm doubly anxious because I'm in the last quarter I'm in the last quarter of the series. So this is going to be the last 4 issues. I mean, it's still going to be a while, but it's still like psychologically, it's like kind of like, oh, slow down a bit. It's like, and I'm like, why? I need to finish this. I have like 10 pages left on issue 13. Also, what doesn't help either is that there's a lot of characters in these pages because we're now at a very climactic part of the story where everyone's on the page, and it's just like, so many people, so many characters to draw.
Are you kind of regretting this ensemble now?
Right, like past me was just like, oh, weren't you ambitious?
You little masochist. It's adorable.
Yeah, really, and it's like, well, but it'll look good once it's done, but it's just getting done. So yeah, but my plan is to launch in September, October at the very latest, but so that's what I'm working on, just trying to get through that. It's like, what else? So I think like the last time we had a vlog, which I don't remember, but I do remember mentioning like being inspired by the way you were promoting Rob's work, promoting Nightwolf. And I ended up like putting together a plan that I want to start in August to to like promote the fact that Eagle Raven's back on Webtoon, get people to sign up for the mailing list that leads up to the issue 13 Kickstarter. And and the thing is though, it's like I keep telling Jose, it's like doing all this content in advance, because it's like the plan is to do as much as I can in advance so that I can really put this out, put these posts and videos up at a very consistent clip, like a very deliberate clip, not like the whole like, oh, I'll post something when I feel like it, but like just be very deliberate with it.
Right.
And and I was telling Jose that it's like, it's like I never felt so like I'm accomplishing so much and wasting my time at the same time. That there is just something about creating marketing materials where it's just like, yeah, I'm busy making reels and shorts.
Joe?
Hey, Joe. And like carousels and like trying to really optimize my presence on Instagram, especially Instagram and Webtoon, especially like they're supposed to like, they're kind of like the main crux of what I'm trying to do.
Right.
And yeah, and it's like, yeah, it's like I'm doing all this stuff and it's like, boy, I can't wait to find out how much time I'm actually wasting. And it's like, and even though like what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create these things in a way where I can like utilize them on other platforms. So it's like if I do like a carousel, I can use it for posting in on my YouTube community tab. If I do a reel, right, I can post it as a YouTube short. If I do a Substack post, I can use it. I can also do a variation of it to use it as a newsletter. Like I'm really trying to like be more efficient, but at the same time, it's still a lot of tedious work. And it's like it only kind of reinforces what I've been saying for a while, is that at our level, there is nothing we can do marketing wise that will make a substantial difference. that it'll make like a really measurable difference, right? And I know like for the longest time, other creators have been like coping with, but if you get
the marketing really
here,
comes down to the money to put it.
And if two people here, one person there, like that was like copium, right? That it's like, it's that whole thing where it's like we all don't like, I guess it's like we all live by this myth that if you work hard, you will be rewarded. And and to see that not happening, it's very hard to kind of like be encouraged to do it, but at the same time it feels wrong if I don't do it. Like if I'm not posting, because that was the thing that I tried doing. It's like, okay, fuck it, I'm not going to post at all and see what happens. And technically nothing happened, which meant that my stuff still stayed the same. But it felt like something was missing, even though there was no real measurable benefit. It still felt like something was missing if I didn't post to social media.
Right.
And it's just kind of like a weird thing because, it's like, what really makes a difference is the amount of money that you put into it. And the more money, and really this entire system is set up that it's like, you have to put in a lot of money to get any real measurable benefits from it. I mean, and then it's like also the worst thing too is realizing that no matter what happens, it's a long game, but it's always a long game. Joe says it's tedious and mundane because each platform is unique. As a one-person army, it becomes a drain of energy, and you feel like your time could be used on the next issue. Yeah,
yes,
but that's the reason why people like Polito and Dan Mendoza and and all these legacy IP people, it's like they have marketing teams. They have teams specifically to do this. So you think Polito is posting up his own reels? Absolutely not. He has everybody else setting up for him, and then when he does his whatnot shows, he comes right on. He just comes right on the screen on camera when he needs to be, but not a moment before. When he does Sworn Fest, I'm pretty sure he doesn't do fucking anything. He has an entire team that sets up Sworn Fest, and he just shows up as the face. Right. And it's like, and it's just like kind of like, but then it's like on my level where it's like after 12 issues and 3, trade paperbacks, right? It's like, okay, so I'm ranging between 120 and 150 people. And it's like, no matter what I do, I can't really seem to grow beyond that. And it's like, okay, so I'm going to not think about it, but at the same time, like I said, it feels wrong when I don't do anything. So that's kind of like the weird situation that I'm in with, like not to get into specifics because technically these are clients, but it's like what's the expectation that your clients have for you in terms of marketing?
I'm not discussing marketing today, Daphne.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, the answer is, because that was also another thing too that that because I was listening to Jose's show last night. And, talking comics on a Sunday, it's in the playlists if you're on the Indie Comics Network, watching on the Indie Comics Network. And I forgot who asked, but someone had asked, it's like, oh, how do you grow your audience in an easy way? And it's like, what? The second, right, yeah, you woke up there, right?
Okay, let's talk.
Right. And it's like, the second you come into this space and you expect anything to be easy, you're in the wrong place.
You're in the wrong place. It is hell.
Right. Because
it makes very little money and it's tedious and nonstop.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. It really is nonstop. And it's like, look, if it was easy, you wouldn't be asking.
Right.
But it's like, and if it was easy, nobody would be telling you.
Right. And if it was easy, I wouldn't be getting paychecks.
Right. So I mean, it's kind of like this weird thing. And it's like, and it kind of really made me think, like listening to all these people talk, like, oh, how do we get more people to look at our stuff and this? And it's like, the answer is money.
Right.
Money, which gives you access to resources in order to do that. Like I said, in any meaningful way.
Yeah, because expensive ass apps are very, very useful.
Right.
I utilize a lot of expensive apps. In fact, like at some points when it's high, when the highs are high, I make enough to pay for everything that I use.
Right.
But there are months, and it will roll over, but there are months where I don't even make even.
Right.
On what I'm putting into to just put out for people.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's like, so money is the problem, really. If you don't have the money, you're not going to be able to, like I said, to grow in a meaningful way. And, the only reason that I even started like this kind of like challenge I gave this posting challenge I gave to myself was that I realized that the people that I wanted to attract, like one, I had to be very realistic about the people I wanted to attract, which I don't think a lot of creators are realistic. They just say, oh, I want to, attract everybody, which means you're going to attract nobody, because nobody attracts everybody, and so it's like, once I really got real as to who I wanted reading my books, hopefully it made me rethink about the type of posts that I'm making, the type, and then what I have to, do. The only advice that I'm refusing to take right now is TikTok. But if it gets to a point where I notice that there really is something to it, at least I'll have this backlog of videos that I could just,
transfer,
drip onto TikTok. But I'm not going to worry about that now until it proves to me that it is missing.
No, ma'am.
Because supposedly the people that I'm interested in attracting, they're on Webtoon and Instagram. So I'm going to try that first and then see. But like I said, it's like, I'm busy, but I'm wasting my time at the same time. But, there was this other thing that I've been trying to talk about for the past couple of weeks because, but we couldn't, because I couldn't really get on the air properly because of the construction. So you see any good movies lately?
No. I have not.
Right.
But I think I know where you're going with this. Go ahead, lead.
Yes.
Yeah.
So me and Jose a couple of weeks ago, actually I think it was opening weekend, we finally got to see The Odyssey. And
that woke bullshit.
Yeah, it's like only stupid people are saying that, so we don't have to worry about it.
I know.
But it was a very, I was in awe of this movie. Like, it had me from the opening scene where you have the guy on a platform and he's banging his staff and he's about to tell the story of Odysseus. It's like, oh, a horse, bloom, bloom, a war, bloom, bloom, it's like a king, bloom, bloom. I mean, it was just like, I was there. That thing had me from second one. And, it's like, I think it's like an almost 3-hour movie and I didn't feel it at all because I was just
I heard it keeps moving.
Riveting. It's like, look, I think that you would appreciate the Cersei scene. No, is it Cersei? Or I'm just confusing her with Game of Thrones. I think it's Cersei.
yeah,
yeah.
The Bone
Yeah.
Temple.
Oh, I heard. Yeah, I heard Bone
good,
Temple was pretty good too.
It was surprisingly good. And Obsession
Right.
was weird.
Right.
Like,
well, you know,
don't go for that one if you're not a like, I don't know.
what is it? It's like Gen Z anxiety or something.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That is the cringe movie, but it was good.
Right. You know, so yeah, the Bone Temple I have to see. So
yeah.
But you know, I mean, but really though, it's like the Odyssey was like just absolute. Like I would watch it again.
If it wasn't like Chris, I'd have no memory at all.
You know, so you know, after coming out of this movie, right? You know, it's like aside from everybody online is full of shit,
right?
And racist as fuck.
Oh my god, right?
Let's just put it that way. Let's just put it that way. You know, the other thing that that also came up coincidentally. So we saw the Odyssey 2 weeks ago, right? And then it's like, and then it's like all this nonsense. And then now the other day I watched a video about the upcoming, was it Roger Eggers movie? I think it's Roger Eggers movie Werewolf. This is the same director who did The Witch, The Northman, The Lighthouse.
The one that looks like it has a bunch of fucking AI in it?
No.
Okay, because there was a werewolf movie recently that we saw advertised, and I was so pissed at the AI.
No. This is the same guy who did the Northman and The Witch.
Okay, well, I didn't know
he
that.
Does it. Yeah, he does it.
The Witch.
Yeah, the Witch. And guess what? There's entire discourse on that movie. It hasn't even come out yet, as you know, because the internet's full of shitheels who, you know, who just make money off of manufacturing drama. So the werewolf is getting the same nonsense discourse as the Odyssey. You know, the only thing that would make it you know it made it the same as if they had a black person in it.
Oh my gosh.
You know, but you know, the whole thing about it's not realistic. It's not.
Oh, I was high at the time.
Right. Oh, it's full moon. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, so
I just remember being pissed.
Yeah. You know, so you know, it's like, oh, it's not historically accurate. It misrepresents medieval times and blah blah blah. You know, the whole discourse, right? Pretty much the exact same discourse, except there was no black lady to scare anybody.
Right.
Yes, you know, I mean, and really, it's like if you cannot imagine Lupita as Helen of Troy, you have no fucking imagination whatsoever.
None whatsoever.
You know, so there has been this ongoing thing, you know, like for the longest time, though, this is not actually a new conversation about fictional, about how there's this expectation for fictional media, no matter what it is, to be historically accurate, whatever that means. Right. But the problem is that the term historically accurate has become so loaded, especially recently, that it's like, well, what do you mean by historically accurate? You know, because when people are complaining about Game of Thrones not being historically accurate, it's like no shit, Sherlock. It has dragons in it. What are you really complaining about?
Daphne, there were dragons. Damn.
You know,
and they're coming back.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, and so they're talking about, you know, like historical accuracy in a fictional setting. And I've been seeing, you know, for the longest time, I've also been seeing videos of like historical costumers, like talking about, oh, you know, they're talking about the Tudors. You know, there used to be a television series called The Tudors. Right. And they would nitpick every costume, say, oh, well, this dress wasn't even in fashion until 100 years later, and they have it here, and blah, 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 and how dare they, and this, that, and the other thing. And that type of discussion, like I understand the sentiment of it, right? But also at the same time, though, is that this is not the place to do it. You know what I mean? Like how, like, is this like something that crosses your mind when you're like watching something and it's like, oh, that's not, historically accurate?
Okay. Only geographically, sometimes it bothers me. Like, the only time it does is when they're saying something is filmed in Louisiana and they're like, oh, well, we was in New Orleans and it's fucking downtown Baton Rouge. That really pisses me the fuck off.
Oh, they're very kind of like,
yeah.
Right.
No, just geographically. If you're gonna be in the modern world in modern times, get your fucking areas right, dude.
Right, especially if it's an area that you're familiar with.
Yeah, because there's a lot of movies, especially horror and supernatural movies, with me being close to St. Francisville in New Orleans.
Right.
It really irks me a lot. But anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the funniest version that we had of that was, I think it was the second John Wick movie, where he's escaping like on horseback or something, on a motorcycle, like in Manhattan. This is just when he's like just out of Central Park, and all the assassins, Manchurian Candidate against him, and they're all chasing after him. And the funniest part was seeing them move like within seconds from area to area. And we know for a fact those areas are not that close. Like, you cannot go from Central Park to Queens in 3 minutes. It's impossible. That's not how that works. Or he's in the middle of a chase, and all of a sudden he has, it's like there was something, it's like, he's at the Manhattan Bridge, and then all of a sudden in seconds he's at the Brooklyn Bridge. And it's like, no, that's not how that works. Right? But that's just us being stupid.
You know what historically inaccuracies bug me, and they might not be inaccuracies. They might be perfectly accurate, and that grosses me out even more. Is the amount of oral you see in some of these pieces, these period pieces, and I just think about the hygiene practices in the days.
Well,
and I'm like, no, sir, you did not. No, sir.
You see,
and no, ma'am.
That's the funny thing. That's one of the main criticisms that the wolf is getting. The werewolf is getting in the whole thing, because there was this entire discussion about medieval hygiene, and the fact that medieval Europe was not as dirty as the Victorians kept claiming it was. But at the same time, they didn't have the same type of hygiene that we have now, or the same quality of hygiene
exactly
we have now.
For an example, right now, and it bothers me when they're in like The Walking Dead and these post-apocalyptic movies too. So again, I digress. Never mind.
Right.
No, it's not.
Right. That it's like, it's like okay, to kind of like,
there's nothing better than banging up against this wall with zombie blood all over us.
Or it's like, I don't think fucking in the middle of the woods is as sexy as a lot of movies make it look.
It's not. Ticks and red bugs and having chiggers crawl in your ass crack. That is not for me. And them alpha-gal ticks on your taint. And,
it's kind of like the movies where the couple's having sex on the beach, and then you actually go to a beach and it's like, the fuck we are. I mean, like that type of thing. How nobody really showers together.
No, give me my space.
So it's like, but it's like, so it's like all these little inaccuracies. Like honestly, if I stopped watching every show that got Photoshop wrong, I wouldn't be watching anything. I couldn't watch Law and Order at all. There is no enhance button, right? But if it's 2 pixels, you're not going to get it into 4K, no matter what you do. That's not how that works. Especially with 1990s technology. Stop it,
Right.
but but the thing is, though, like, there's something very specific about this call for fictional movies to be historically accurate.
They're fictional.
Right, they're fictional, right? And you see, and that's kind of the thing with the Odyssey. What a lot of very ignorant people are not understanding is that the Odyssey is fictional. These people are not real. Like, it's like the Trojan War really happened, but the mythology that we know of as the Trojan War, there's still a lot of debate. I don't know if there's a lot of debate, but there's a lot more evidence to prove that there was no Trojan horse, there was no Helen of Troy, there was no King Odysseus. It's like Ithaca's a real place, but Odysseus is not a real person. This is all mythology in the same way that Shakespeare told his stories. Shakespeare's Julius Caesar is not a historically accurate telling of the life of Julius Caesar, right? So that being said, the Odyssey is not a historically accurate telling of what happened after the Trojan War, unless you truly believe that Helen of Troy really was the daughter of Zeus and of Zeus and Leda, which means that her fucking father was a swan. It's like Penelope.
She was hatched beautifully.
Penelope is supposed to be the daughter of Perseus and Andromeda, which means that her parents met while her mother was being rescued from a kraken from Perseus, by Perseus, who was riding a Pegasus. But all of a sudden, everybody has a stick up their ass about historical accuracy. Right? It's mythology. Even back then, when Homer, the story is 3,000 years old. It's like there's even debate as to whether Homer is actually one person or a team of people who wrote who wrote this song. This is a song, it's like, and it's like, and what's funny was finding
three composers in a trench coat.
Yeah, it was three composers in a trench coat. Just like people think that Shakespeare was three playwrights in a trench coat. So it's the same thing. It's like, and what happened, it's like one of the funny things is that Seneca, who is a Stoic philosopher, even he was bitching at the time that people were missing the point of the Odyssey. Because Seneca was a playwright as well as being a philosopher. And mind you, and it's like, and this was like 1,500 years after the Odyssey was originally written. And Seneca was complaining that people were so busy trying to map out, where, like, all these places that Odysseus visited, as opposed to like, you stupid bitches, it's about the story. It's the story. And the map is irrelevant. And I think that what we have is a modern version of that, where everybody is, you have all these detractors. And mind you, I don't think people really give a shit about historical accuracy the way you would think people are acting up. Like I said, a lot of this is just made up discourse because this is just what makes money on the internet. You have to be unreasonably mad at something, at the most bullshit thing, right? So, and the thing is, though, and it's just really funny to see how people go, oh, it's like, oh, Christopher Nolan dropped the ball and, he's incompetent and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, funny. It's like, you guys didn't seem to mind it when he was playing fast and loose with historical information in Oppenheimer. The fact that Oppenheimer and Einstein never met in fact, Einstein was never part of the Manhattan Project, but they put a cameo of Einstein, in Oppenheimer as if it was the fucking Avengers, you know?
It was Stan Lee's Marvel appearance.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But it's like, oh, weird. I wasn't hearing people so concerned about historical accuracy in Oppenheimer. Right. But somehow in the Odyssey, everyone's like, oh, it's like, Christopher Nolan, it's like he's a loser who doesn't know how to make money. It's like, yeah, studios gave a loser who doesn't know how to make money, millions of dollars for no reason whatsoever.
Right.
And it looks like this movie's about to make $1 billion too. So, but not to be, yeah, exactly. So not to be completely unkind to all of the discourse, to the entirety of the discourse. And again, nobody seems, it's like, oh yeah, Helen of Troy is inaccurate, Elliot Page is inaccurate, but some Cambridge masshole playing Odysseus is completely fine. It's like, okay, all right. It's like, sure. It's like, okay, Jen. Sure. There was a documentary that I watched about this craft fair. I don't remember where it was, but it was like one of those things where it's like they take like one of these abandoned towns and they try to revitalize it. With like an arts festival and having artists move in because the rent is so cheap, before, kind of like the precursor to gentrification. Well, that's exactly what it is. But, at this point, we're still at this is a cool place for artists to hang out.
Right.
And, so they did this arts festival and there's 2 awards that they give out at the festival. The awards that are juried by other creatives, and then there's the award that's given out by people who come to the fair. So these are like the average person, kind of like a People's Choice Awards for art, right? And there was some kind of there was a very interesting situation that happened at this particular with these awards, where the artwork that won the award judged by other creatives was completely different from the award that was the People's Choice. So I forgot the piece that they awarded the I guess like the creator, the creator choice, too. But the thing is, though, it's like there was a lot of discussion about, craft and intent and what the message, the messaging, and whether the artist was clear, what the artist was trying to do with the piece. Like there was a lot of intention in the judging. But with the People's Choice, the piece that won was a very highly technical kind of like painting, but it was a part painting, part textile. So it was a painting that transitioned into an embroidery. So that won the People's Choice. And then like what came in second place was a bicycle made out of wood, which, and these 2 pieces, although impressive, the creative, they were not even considered for the traditional judging, the traditional art judging. They weren't even considered. They didn't even rank. But the average person, those were the 2 pieces that they gravitated towards and gave the first prize to the embroidery piece. And that brought up a discussion about like the average person like, because they don't know how to talk about art, how to look at art, what to look for, like intent and structure and subtext. It's the same thing with writing, right? It's the same thing with reading, where they're saying that there's a literary crisis, not because people can't read, but the crisis is in people not understanding what they're reading. They don't know subtext. They don't know satire. They don't know, like all these different, and it's the same thing with the Odyssey, right? It's like, it's not about whether the helmets are correct. It's not whether, Helen of Troy looked like this or looked like that, which, mind you, even in the original Homeric Odyssey, there is no description of Helen of Troy.
Right.
The only description is that she had white arms, and back then white did not mean what it means now. So white arms, so by interpreting white arms as this was a white woman, is completely putting in a modern definition onto ancient text. And that's historically inaccurate. So it's just kind of funny that people are accusing historical inaccuracy when they're judging from the angle of historical inaccuracy. So the thing that Seneca was complaining about was that people were missing the point of the story. It's like, it's kind of, it's like, it's not a literal voyage. It's like the Odyssey is about what happens when you ignore your responsibilities and the consequences that it has to everybody around you. That's what the Odyssey is about. Although people have been interpreting that the Odyssey is about trade routes and what happens when it's like you just do the wrong thing, right? And then try to well, you see, that's the thing. Nobody knows what that description means when they say that Helen had white arms. Like, is it a robe? Was she wearing sleeves? Did she have white paint on? Like there is no clarity. But in the end, that's not the point. And just like with Shakespeare, the Odyssey was written in a way so that like anybody can interpret it the way they need to, as long as the story, the theme is like understood. So going back to this embroidery piece, right? So the idea that was kind of being brought up is that people, they're in this case, they were artistically illiterate. Just like in the Odyssey's case, we're talking about people who are illiterate. It's like they're focusing on the minutia that doesn't matter and missing the entire point of the story. And because of that, and because you're talking about the idea was that because you're talking about people who are illiterate and unable to actually discuss why they really they like something or don't like something, they can only focus on realism. So
because they have no imaginations anymore.
Well, they don't know how to talk about it. That's what it is. So it's kind of like, you remember back in the day online where there was all these, oh my God, this artist can make this stipple piece, that looks exactly like a photograph of Martin Freeman or something, and it's like, oh, what technical skill that is, right? You see, the ironic thing about it is that, so you have the average person treating realism like an artistic pinnacle, where in actual art school, realism is the bottom rung. Because you have to know how to realistically render something in order to pull away into a style. You have to know the rules before you know how to break them. Picasso didn't start with didn't start with Cubism. He was an illustrator. He painted portraits. And then as he learned his skill, as he learned the technical aspect, he began to pull parts away from it in order to end up at Cubism. It's like, Mike Mignola, right? A lot of people, it really surprises me how a lot of people misinterpret his artwork. That they think that's like, oh, Mike Mignola is not a good artist because all he does is these shapes. Look at these shapes, right? And it's like, no, those shapes show you how skilled he is, that he was able to render down his artwork to its most basic yet most important forms. Because again, if you looked at the artwork that he was doing before, like I have the original Rocket Raccoons that he did, it's not drawn like Hellboy. It doesn't look like that. He drew like Mike Mignola drawing regular comic books, right? But the more skill he ended up, he developed, the more he was able to pull away and only render his work to the most basic forms and still be able to convey his stories the way he does, which is absolutely brilliant. In fact, I think his stories work better. His stories are brilliant because of the type of artwork that goes with it. Like, I don't think if you did, that's why the movies don't do anything for me, because ironically, it's the realism that ruins it. So this whole obsession with realism, right, artistically, like I don't it's not that I don't understand it, but I do understand it's a very easy and it's a very easy thing for someone average to point out and say, this is realistic, therefore it is good. No one's going to argue with that. No one is going to argue with them saying this is realistic. Yes, it does look like Morgan Freeman. Yes, it looks like a photo. Yes, it was such a technical skill to be able to transition that painting to an embroidered tapestry. Yes, it's, no one's going to argue that. But the problem is that it completely erases the nuance of any discussion about art. And that's where the Odyssey comes in. Because for as stupid as Christopher Nolan is being called by all these chuckleheads online who have their dollar to make on his back, in every interview, he explains his thought process as to why he did what he did in the movie. Why he took the Elliot Page character that was actually from the Iliad and put it in the Odyssey and put him in the Odyssey. Right. I mean, I don't remember the Sinoa. I don't remember his name. But that's a character from the Iliad. It's not a character from the Odyssey. But it served his vision of the story he was trying to tell to put that character in there. And just like it served his vision to make Odysseus feel guilty about what happened at Troy, even though from actual historical records, that wasn't an issue. Nobody felt guilty about sacking Troy. In fact, it's like, it's like, which is why, technically you're supposed to read the Odyssey and the Iliad, because the Odyssey is about the aftermath of Troy and the Iliad is about Troy from the Greek perspective. But again, if you're illiterate in a sense that you're going to be hyper focused on what's realistic and not like what the map is, as opposed to what the overall story is, what are the lessons you're supposed to be learning from this? It's kind of like, people are not going to get it no matter what. so it's like, yeah, and it's like, and then it's like it comes to the whole thing with werewolf, right? Where they're saying, oh, it's not historically accurate. And then it's like, at what point did it become artists' responsibility to be an academic?
Huh.
Although ironically, there was something that happened recently in kind of like the alt comic sphere that kind of crossed that barrier. Because if I'm doing a fantasy story that happens to include Norse and Greek inspirations, I'm not doing an academic treatise. I'm doing a fantasy story that happens to be inspired by these two things. I have absolutely no reason to make Eros and Loki historically accurate. One, they're mythological figures, right? Two,
Right.
and two, it's mythology. It's like there's no historic accuracy about mythology, because we're talking about something that probably started off as written as verbal communication that ended up being written down, and then as each version gets written down, gets changed by the person writing it. Like, I remember the whole thing about the Blood Eagle, right? That whole thing is like, oh, the Vikings, and and then it's like they took out the lungs, and and they did like this whole torture thing, right? And and after some kind of like discussion, right? And it was all because of like I think it was like one tapestry or something that they're assuming, yes, it's a historic telephone game, that they were assuming, it's like, oh, this is proof that the Blood Eagle was an actual thing. And it's like, and other people are like, no, that's not what that is. That's not what that is. And what it is, like what they're saying is that was probably a lurid translation from a monk who was just trying to make Viking culture sound more insane than it actually was. I mean, and look, even the whole thing about Vikings, a lot of that is made up. There really isn't a lot of historical record to prove that Vikings are what in the television show, like all the markings and the hair, and it's like, oh, the manly men type of. It's like 98% of Vikings were farmers. And all Viking mean is, and Viking, depending on who you talk to, it either means seafarers or pirates. Viking was an occupation. So you were either a farmer or a pirate, right? But it's like, but even then, it's like, the word Viking was only really, they were only really called pirates by Icelandic people, because that's pretty much who were getting raided by Scandinavia. So so everything that we know about Vikings in media, a lot of it's just made up, but somehow people got it in their head because it looks realistic. That must be the historical record, and it's not. And it's the same thing with Greek culture. Especially when we actually finding frescoes of Greek cities, everyone's kind of on the brown side. So it's like, it's the whole thing about, like, even with the Roman Empire, when it's like, oh, everything was white and marble, and it's like, nobody lived like that. The historic record doesn't prove that. Everything was painted. We have more proof that these marbles were actually painted. That it's like, you can't just say, oh, everything was all white and and it's just like the height of civilization. No, that's propaganda from the Victorians again. It's like, I swear, it's like we spend more time, but trying to undo what the Victorians did. But again, it's like, why is it like, so Roger Eggers, like, he's explaining why he made the decisions for his visuals in a werewolf. It's like, yes, it's historically accurate up to a point. Up to a point, the story requires him to be not historically accurate. But in the end, it's always about the story. And, it's like, yeah. And it's like, so what's really the argument here? When we're talking about historical accuracy, right? And why there's this expectation that artists have to be historically accurate. Because most people, the average person, actually gets their sense of history from media than they do from actual history books. And as a creative, I really do feel that's not my problem.
Sounds like a personal problem, and you're going to have to deal with this.
Right. Because it's like, that's not why I do this stuff. That's not why I create the work that I do. It's kind of like, yeah, it's like, it's like the whole thing about like during the Lord of the Rings movie where it's like, oh, what was his name? Lee, the painter. I forgot his name. Where he was arguing with the animation department. Like he was arguing with another artist about like the accuracy of armor. Right. And so he was arguing about the accuracy of armor, and the other guy was arguing with him about the accuracy of his dragons. And it's like, and then after a while they came to a compromise, but it kind of like, oh, you got your peanut butter in my chocolate, it's like that's how the argument ended up sounding. Like, well, you're not doing armor correctly. Well, you're not drawing dragons correctly. And I'm sitting there going, you both stupid. You're both working on a fantasy movie. And it's like, if you have a particular, because also Roger Eggers talked about that, with The Witch. He goes, like, he talked about how he had to find very particular craftsmen to build the houses in a very period specific way. He had to find one. He only found one guy who could do it, right? Who could saw the floorboards a certain way so that it was period accurate. Where it's like he said something about, I'm not interested in Dutch buttons because I'm interested in Dutch buttons. Although he says he was, but he goes, the reason why I wanted that meticulous type of detail in the story was because I wanted it visually realistic enough that you could put yourselves with those characters and understand why they believe what they believe for the story to work. Because because in the end he's not a historic he's not doing a historic reenactment. He's making a horror movie. So in the end, he's historically accurate up until the point it starts to interfere with it being a horror movie, and then that's when he lets loose. That's when it stops being historically accurate. And it's the same thing with movies like with Game of Thrones and and things like The Odyssey and and other types of based on a true story type of shit. Where it's like it's only accurate enough until it gets in the way of the story. And I think it's foolish to expect artists to fill the gap that academics are already filling, but the average audience is not really interested in following. Like, I could enjoy The Odyssey because I know the difference between what's a historical necessity and what's a creative choice. I am not watching The Odyssey because I think it's a documentary. nobody watches. Well, unfortunately, there are people who watch Gladiator and think that it's a documentary, that this is an accurate portrayal of the Roman times. And it's like, no, it's a movie. It's a movie. It's like, yeah, it maybe they refer to historic people, but this is a fictitious version. This is a fictitious interpretation of that time period. And it's like, and a lot of history got, they played, and Ridley Scott played fast and loose with a lot of history, to make Gladiator. He wasn't making a documentary. If you want to learn,
completely accurate.
Right. If you really want to learn about Roman history, you watch a documentary about Roman history. You do not watch Gladiator. If you want to learn about, if you already know about Greek history, you know what the Odyssey is. Nobody, it's like there is no, and the only people creating this discourse about helmets and Lapita are pedants and racists. And you know what? And these are not the people who you should be listening to over a creative endeavor.
Word.
I mean, and the thing is, though, this is not new. You go to any museum, which any person should, right? And here, it's like, look, something as simple as the birth of Christ, right? How is the birth of Christ shown in medieval artwork? They show Christ and Mary looking like medieval people. The three kings are literally three kings. In a medieval, in a medieval setting. They're not showing Jesus being born in the desert. They're showing him being born in a manger next to a fucking castle. Because that's how you get modern people interested in that story. I actually had a person look at this. Look at this. This is a furry book that I do. It's Tall Tales. It's a furry book. Medieval.
Yeah.
I've actually had a person ask me with a straight face, is this historically accurate?
Fuck yes. Yes, it is. Everything about it.
I mean, it's
everything.
Accurate to the story that we're telling, but it's like, bro, did the animal heads, throw you off? Did the talking animals just, throw you off? Like, what do you mean? Is it historically accurate? What do you mean by that? How do you? But
it's real.
But it's like, but that's what. That's the equivalent of what everyone's doing online when they look at the Odyssey, when they will look at Werewolf. Oh, is this historically accurate? It's like, were you looking for a documentary? If you are looking for a documentary, these are not the movies for you to be looking at. If you're looking for a documentary, this is not the book you should be picking up. But like I said, it's like, as an artist, I don't feel at all that it's my responsibility to be historically accurate. My responsibility is making sure my story makes sense within the world that I'm building. And that the themes of the story get through to you. Because in the end, it's the story that counts. This is all dressing. Everyone is literally complaining about set dressing. and they're like,
Lame.
oh, right. And it's like, you know what? That's the least interesting thing that you guys can focus on. The reason why Lord of the Rings works and the Ring of Power doesn't is because the Ring of Power story doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Everything else is set dressing. Does it? I mean, yeah, it's like the Lord of the Rings. It's, you know, the Hobbit, right? Why couldn't the Hobbit recapture what the Lord of the Rings did?
Oh, because Peter Jackson wasn't feeling it.
Well, that and that they fucked with the story so much,
right,
that it was a mid-story,
right,
and you know it was
they tried to make too much monies on it by stretching it out over 3 movies. When honestly, it could have been done in 75 minutes or less.
Which Rankin and Bass proved they could do.
Yes, they did, and nothing was missed. That was
I forgot to show you something.
Oh, what? I saw them games.
and my sweat towel.
Motherfucker. Oh my god, they look so good.
Look, Jose got me this on a whim. Well, he said he originally bought these as a Christmas present for me, but it only came out like a month or so ago.
Right. I saw them and I was so fucking tempted.
And what's so really funny is that the photos do no justice to these, because when I looked at the boxes,
and they look bigger.
You know, I mean, it's like what can I use as? Okay, here's a cell phone.
Yeah. Well, Daphne, I mean, your hands are obviously a good comparison. I mean, like, there we go. I mean, like, god dang.
You know? So it's like, yeah, so where did the Hobbit movie that Peter Jackson did fail? It didn't fail because it didn't look good. It failed because it was a shitty rendition of the story.
Right.
You know, it's like, to complain about costumes, like I said, it's that becomes a preference. That's just an aesthetic thing. And also it's like that's I think that way too many people have just gotten wrapped up in aesthetic, that it distracts them from everything else. Especially especially when you're talking about creative endeavors. You know, the Odyssey, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey was never meant to be historically accurate. It's telling a story, you know, and it's like, and you know, and honestly, it's like I don't even want to hear the BS. Like, well, because they weren't historically accurate, they distracted from the story. Look, Seneca says you're full of shit. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're distracted. You're distracted by the aesthetics because you don't want to think about what the story says, what the story is saying about you. You know, it's like we all, you know, it's kind of funny. It's like how it's like, oh, we want to be able to, like, you know, feel the story until it's actually saying something. And then all of a sudden everybody wants to argue about what a helmet looks like, you know, or whether Black people exist in fantasy.
Oh my gosh.
You know, I mean, you know, you can't help those people. You know, in the end, you can't help those people. You know, it's like, look, it's like there was one piece of advice that I got a while ago in terms of writing, but I think it serves the narrative, is never cater to the dumbest people in your audience. You know, if they get it, they get it. The right people will get it. But the people who don't get it, they can be in their audience, but those are not the people, you know, when they start bitching about, oh, why are you making it hard to read? Why are you using big words? Why are you, no, I'm serious. That's a real discussion. But then again, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just like stupid discourse that someone made up. Maybe nobody is really arguing that point. You know, but it's like, when people say it's like, oh, but your thing's not historically accurate, and it's like, oh, fine, that's it. That's a you problem. That's not, that has it's like, it's the story that's the important thing, and like I said, everything else is dressing. It's like, because I have seen the most fantastic artwork that's fantastic in every detail, and it didn't matter. I mean, like, in the end, it's like when you're watching The Tudors, does it matter that, it's like, it's kind of like, it's as, it's like, yeah, it's as ridiculous as me going, oh, I can't watch this episode of Law and Order because, they don't know how Photoshop works. I mean, really? It's like, you're supposed to take me seriously saying that? And it's like, yeah, fantasy is beyond inclusive. Exactly. Because there comes, it's like, yeah, because there comes a point where it's like, you're creating a fantasy according to your rules, not the person reading it. And it's like, it's kind of like a weird dichotomy where it's like, on one hand, a person has to feel like they can be like, that they can enjoy your story and be a part of your story. But at the same time, it's like, the story is not being written specifically for them, so, I mean, yeah, it's like, it's like, you're upset about a movie where a woman turns soldiers into pigs, but you're concerned about the historically accuracy of their armor. And not the symbolism of what she's doing. I swear to God, if you will love that scene if you ever get around to watching the Odyssey.
Oh, I'm gonna get around to watching it, but but ain't paying for nothing.
Right? Yeah, it's like,
and it's a theater, and I have a theater phobia to be
right. No, yeah. Look, it'll be on streaming soon. But it's like, yeah, it's like, it's not whether the pigs, the armor that the pigs come out of is historically accurate. It's the story as to why that happened. And yeah, so it's like, it's just one of those things where it's like, in the end, it's like, I just had to like really kind of like sit with it and go, it's like, yeah, it's not my responsibility to be academic when I'm supposed to be creative. Now, I have to look this more up, though, because there was a situation recently, like I said, in the alt comic sphere, where someone was trying to do like an academic graphic novel, and it turned out they plagiarized. It's like they plagiarized another author to do it, and it was just like, it was just like a whole mess. And it's like, where it's like, yeah, when you enter that academic, when you actually set out to do an academic like study, right? It's like to do an academic based comic, the expectations are very different than if they were just doing a fictionalized version of that thing. Because that was kind of like what happened. It was something having to do with the people they sourced the information from, and they weren't credited correctly, or they weren't credited at all, and the artist tried to claim it as like, oh, well, I just found the information. And it's like, that's not how academics work. Was there a bibliography and a list of footnotes at the end of the Odyssey? No, because it wasn't an academic work. But this person doing this academic comic, she was required to not only have the bibliography and all the credits, but really, yeah, but she had to list her sources. And it was just like a whole thing. I would have to read up on like what actually happened. But, so that's a different standard, a standard that I refuse to be held to, because I'm not making that type of work.
Right.
So if I want to play fast and loose with history in order to tell the story that that I'm telling, the only obligation that I have is to make sure that that information fits into the world building that I've established already.
There's so much irony, and we need to go back into the following movie is based on.
Yeah, but even then, it seems like with in movies, there's a specific criteria that you can use those words under, like based on a true story, inspired by a true story, and there was like another one. There's different definitions for that verbiage.
Oh my god!
That depending on what you're doing in the movie, you have to specify. I think like Argo was the best example of that, where I really, really learned that it's like based on a true story does not really mean they were accurate to the story. Because Argo is the one about where it's like they had to fake a movie to save some Canadian journalists from a hostage situation in Iran, I think it is. I think it was. And, and Jack Kirby was involved, and it was like a whole thing, right? But when you actually, and the movie was good. I remember it was a Ben Affleck movie. The movie was actually pretty good. It was very tense, the whole thing, right? But when you read up on what actually happened, the movie was nowhere near accurate. The climactic scene where they're getting the journalists out did not happen the way it happened, actually. I mean, in the movie, they made it sound like that they were in danger until they got on the plane. That's like, oh my God, it's like, we could start a riot at any minute. And it was like, we're so in danger and blah, blah, blah. We're almost there.
You mean they fabricated history for your entertainment?
They dramatized. Certain scenes were dramatized.
Potato.
But it's like, and it's like, I remember it really irritating me at the time. But then as I kind of like really learned how this shit works, it's like now, it's kind of like how now I can, like how Dune, the movies, are really deviating from the books. Oh, actually, even the first one, they really deviated from the books. But as someone who has read the books, has watched the original movie, I think
Nerd.
gained a certain level of wisdom from age.
Nerd.
I was able to watch these movies appreciating the changes.
Right.
Like I understood why they didn't say the word jihad anywhere in the movie. Like I really understood that, and all the changes they made to the story, I appreciated the changes. Like, oh, it made me curious. Like, okay, how are they going to? It's like, since this path went this way in the book, how are they going to rectify this in the last movie? Considering that everyone's really, really trying to avoid to do God Emperor of Dune. So how are they going? So it just became something else that I was able to enjoy. Right. As opposed to being some kind of miserable asshole going, oh, it wasn't a 1-to-1 to the movie, so it's like it sucks.
It's what else is veering off the books currently? That's fucking, I think it's going to be better than the fucking books. House of the Dragon.
Oh, okay.
Dead ass. They've gone off course on a few character storylines, and both so far look like they're going to be more interesting.
Right. Yeah.
But as to not do spoilers, I won't talk more into that.
Well, yeah,
because about that today.
Yeah, right.
Because it was just last night, but yeah.
Right, yeah. But yeah, it's like, so yeah, so that was like, so that was like the whole, like my whole thought process about watching the Odyssey. And like I said, I would watch that movie again. I mean, it is so good. It is so good. But also it's because I understand what it is.
Right.
And it's like, and really,
who you should have had on for this shit.
Yeah, Michael Odin.
Where the fuck is Odin when you need him or want him around?
But you know what? It's like, yeah, I know, but it's like, I don't know. It's like, because he would be coming from an academic standpoint.
Y'all could have nutted all over each other.
I don't know, because sometimes we've had arguments on that about the whole thing.
Even better. That would have been good for me.
because I've pushed back on his idea about mythology needing to be historically accurate, and I go, nah, bro. No. But it's like, but again, it's like, I understand what I'm looking at, so that's why I'm able to appreciate it with what it's doing, the story that it's telling. I mean, and honestly, the funny thing is that aesthetically, I really do wish that there was more color in the movie. Like, I really hate these, like, really, these gray and blue palettes that everyone's been doing, but it's like, look, in the end, that's a stylistic choice that Christopher Nolan loves using. I don't appreciate it, but I think that his overall storytelling was so strong. It's like, okay, whatever. It's like that's just his thing, to have everything gray, right? Just like The Hobbit, no matter how much design work they put into it, I cannot watch that garbage for anything.
No.
So we're talking about
so mad.
Yeah. I never made it past the first movie. No. The second movie.
I walked out of the first one.
Yeah.
I was already skeptical because I think it was, who was it? It was it Guillermo del Toro that was going to take it at first?
Yeah,
because
Guillermo del Toro was supposed to do it, but
he was going to take it first, but then he decided to work with Peter Jackson, or Peter Jackson decided to come back on the project to work with him, or whatever.
Well,
but Peter Jackson was pissed about fucking doing it. And it fucking showed. And there was this moment in the beginning where he makes a cameo and he turns and he just like, he looks at this camera with a fuck you glare that I've took personally as an audience member. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck you too, Peter Jackson.
Right, yeah.
I'm gonna take my smag ass out of here.
Yeah, it was just a lot of nods. Yeah, I remember watching the second movie. I never bothered with the third. I never saw the third movie because there was no reason to. I was just like, the first movie.
Your source material was perfect. You even had a fucking beautiful masterpiece of storyboard.
Jose
did.
Jose went to see it. Went to see the last movie, and I watched this instead.
Oh, I would have to.
Yeah. I watched that instead.
One day, I'm gonna fucking see you, Daphne, and we're gonna actually do something like that together. We're gonna like cuddle up on the couch and pop some popcorn.
And watch Lord of the and watch. Yeah. We have to watch. Yeah, we're gonna watch all of them. We're gonna watch all of them.
Right.
Oh my goodness. But that's been rattling around in my head for the past 3 weeks. I was so desperate to do a show just to get it out of my head.
Why you could have just called?
No, but I wanted to do it publicly. Even though it seems like we're by ourselves today too, except for Lou.
Yes.
I don't know if any of the I think my whole thing with Facebook didn't work, and I don't think the notifications went out. So I don't know. Because as far as because I think it's just you, me, and Lou in the chat.
Hi, Lou.
Oh, and Joe too. So it's just us four. It's just us four keeping us company.
Oh my gosh. And see, if it wasn't for replays, I'd pop on camera for a minute and show you one of these new babies.
Right.
But I'm gonna leave her alone right now.
Oh, plus, Also, I gotta remember too, San Diego Comic-Con ended yesterday, so probably today's like a big travel day for everybody. So ain't nobody around.
And they're gonna be fucking dead ass tired.
Right.
And gotta spread their con cruds around for the next month.
Yeah, I know, right? Like what disease are we getting out of San Diego Comic-Con? The worst blind box ever. Oh my god. But so that's, like I said, that's what's been rattling around in my head. So but I'm glad you're able to come on today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh my goodness. So do you have any like final thoughts?
No, I'm kind of distracted because I gotta go take care of a cat in a little bit.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I gotta go take care of things too. So, but like I said, luckily there's no construction going on. So, and I have to get, finish issue 13. Jesus Christ. Like I said, I'm just dragging my ass on it. But yeah, so I want to thank everybody who hung out with us in the chat, who's left over from San Diego Comic-Con. I want to thank everybody in all the eyeball people, all the beautiful eyeball people watching us from regions beyond, having us in the background while you're all convalescing from San Diego Comic-Con. I hope you guys all had a good show. So I guess hopefully by next Monday we'll all be awake again and just getting back to normal. So thank you chat, thank you eyeball people. Thank you everybody who's going to be watching this on the replay. I hope that we're able to entertain you while you're actually doing whatever work that you're doing while you're listening to us in the background. And while you're here, either now or on the replay, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever any of our shows go live, when we're actually able to go live. But, I think everything's pretty much back to normal. So no final thoughts, no final anything, buy Rob's books, I guess.
Well, yeah, buy everybody's
book,
but I'm not I don't. We'll talk later.
Right. Okay. That's no problem. So if you want to learn more about me, my artwork, my books, my upcoming Kickstarters, and everything else, you can head on over to my main portfolio site at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS.
Where is it? There it is.
Oh, there, right. Where you can read Eagle Raven, Air the First Unicorn for free. But if you prefer your fantasy to be more of a very historically inaccurate furry Lord of the Rings adventure, you can follow the link over to Tall Tales, TAILSonline.com, and you can read the archive of over 1,000 pages there. And while you're on my website, make sure you don't forget to sign up for my newsletter, where you can keep up to date straight into your email with all of my new art, sketchbooks, comics, Kickstarters, and get a free PDF comics bundle just for joining. I've updated the books, so if you join my mailing list, you'll get an updated version. You get a full version of Eagle Raven issue 1, a full version of Tall Tales issue 1, the new story arc. You get the Oswald Chronicles, and you get a pop of color, which is my fan art little fanzine thing, just to give you, just something a little different. You get to see my artwork in all different types of books. So yes, you get Tall Tales, Eagle Raven, the Oswald Chronicles. Oh, the version that I drew, there is a short story that I drew for the Oswald Chronicles. So you get that, and you get my art book for free just by signing up to my newsletter. So thank you again, everybody, for joining me. Oh, and again, one last thing. Remember that you can also read Eagle Raven on Webtoon as well. Starting August 4th, we're going to restart. Well, we're not restarting. We're continuing the series, new uploads. Right now, you can read issues up. You can binge read issues 1 through 8. And starting August 4th, we're going to start with issue 9 on Webtoon. So check that out there. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today on this very humid Monday. And in the words of the ancients, eat your food, moisturize, mind your business, and do the work. Because when you actually do the work, you never have to fake any of your accomplishments. And also, in the words of Seneca, it's the story, stupid. Everything else is just minutia. And and in that case, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Toodaloo.
I told him I can be a fighter if you want. I'll be there to catch you if you fall. I can make it brighter.